Hello and welcome back to an Academy Crypto video. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we're back with another banger PulseChain video, giving you guys the latest and greatest of crypto news. And there's a lot to cover in this video. We're going to even show you guys a few facts about PulseChain that you most likely didn't know. But before we do that, I just wanted to quickly address that yes, the past few days have been on the red side, have been bloody. We've been correcting prices, retracing. Okay, not reversing, retracing. There's a big difference. But does that mean we need to worry? No, because I'm about to show you a small little exercise that you guys should do, which is zooming out, blocking the noise, not being short-term price oriented, because it's very important. Guys, PulseChain is extremely bullish. The altcoin season is very, very bullish, and we're starting to see that rallying up with the ETH BTC ratio. Guys, look at this. Okay, we're at 0.031. Okay, the price of Bitcoin right now is at 100, almost 115, by the way, touched, and we're at 55 neutral fear and greed index. Guys, think about where the price would be once we hit the next very or extreme greed regions. Where would PulseChain be? Okay, and we're going to cover in this video as well the latest news regarding Richard Hart, his latest tweet, Liberty Swap, connection with Richard Hart, with the OA bag, and of course with the PDAI, the theory behind it all, and Binance, and much more. So watch the whole video through, but going back to this, a quick exercise to zoom out. Okay, yes, this looks very bearish, especially if you look at the PulseChain prices, and a quick reminder to just be careful from falling in the trap of blaming PulseChain. I've seen people blame Richard Hart for tweeting a picture of the prices and saying, oh, this is a good price, or look at the nice charts. And people are saying, oh God, Richard, there you go. You know what I mean? Now people start saying, no. You have to zoom out and see, okay, did Bitcoin retrace? Did Ethereum retrace? And I've covered in the previous video. Look at the global liquidity index. We've had a retracement, guys. We're never going to go up in a straight line. Bitcoin dominance is still high, above 60%. I don't understand how people, like, their thought process, they really need to stop blaming Richard Hart. Like, you either love him or you hate him. Okay? And don't ever find someone else as a scapegoat and be like, oh, you know, I've been holding PulseChain for way too long. First of all, PulseChain is launched for 2 years. So you can't count the years in the bear market since the sacrifice phase. Okay? But anyways, we're going to kind of talk about it. You know, just accountability, guys. Okay? Like, knowing crypto. You guys know that we cannot speak in certainties. You understand that PulseChain is under the category of altcoins, the highest of risks. Okay, as we know, hope you guys know, because if you watch my videos, you already know this, Bitcoin goes up 3 out of 4 year cycles. Okay, with like the whole debt rollover cycle, which aligns with like the business cycle, which aligns with a lot of other things, even with the Bitcoin halving cycle. Altcoins, they only pump 1 out of 4 years. Okay. We're in that 365-day countdown. We've actually been in it already, guys. So I'm telling you, the next few hundred days is your highest chances to get generational wealth, guys. Financial freedom, economic freedom. It is no longer a question of confidence in crypto. But we already know it's an instrument that has allowed people to break free out of that 9-to-5 rat race. But now it's a question of confidence in you to make the most out of this bull run. And I believe that PulseChain is the best place to be for that, for a lot of reasons we're going to cover here in a second. So the exercise that I'm talking about, look at this. I'll change your perspective very quickly. Okay, this is the, right, Ethereum is down to minus 2.6%. Bitcoin is down 0.8%. I've already shown you guys the ETH BTC ratio is looking really good. Look at this, 0.031. Amazing. Look at this. The past few couple months, we've gone up almost a whole 1x. And then a small little retracement of people already being like, oh my God, what's happening? Are we going to see an altcoin season? You know what I mean? We're only minus 3% from the local all-time high. Absolutely crazy. We're starting to see ETH treasuries, guys, which we're going to cover in a second. How PulseChain, fun fact, holds more Ethereum than Coinbase. So now going back to this, I'm not going to keep teasing you guys. We're going to click this button right here. Boom. We zoomed out, we looked at the performance in the past month, and you know what? It's green. What's even better? It's multiples more than Bitcoin, multiples more than Ethereum. Well, just 2x basically when you compare it like with PX. I really hope, by the way, crypto bubbles, hopefully they add PDAI and PWBTC to this. That would be absolutely crazy. And I think as well, we also hit, and if you click this button, you will see the ranking and some of the core tokens. Matter of fact, when the prices were slightly higher the past few days, all core tokens were in the top 100 crypto bubbles. Absolutely crazy stuff. I'm so excited for the future. We're going to do the same thing here in PulseCoin list. Okay, things are down, retracing again, big difference. It's not reversal. If we do this little exercise and we see how are we doing in terms of the past 90 days, again, zooming out, we can see that PDAI is up 5.3x, PWBC is up 2x, Hex is up plus 75, so almost a 2x as well. And I also want to take this chance to say a big thank you to the YouTube members who are choosing to support my small channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. The DeFi insiders that have access to my members' exclusive videos, and to the 2 highlighted comments here. First, have a comment from Body Epiphany who says, "You constantly provide some of the better videos of anyone in crypto. Somi and you are my 2 most listened to who pump out loads of quality content." So yeah, thank you very much for that. Means a lot. And second but not least, we have a comment from Chris, says, "New subscriber here. Thank you, sir. Your content is 100. Thank you. I have learned from this video. Looking forward to the future content from you." So yeah, thank you very much for that, and we shall continue. And in terms of interesting facts that you probably didn't know about PulseChain, we're going to take you here to DeFiLlama to see the DEX rankings by TVL specifically here that I sorted it, which, by the way, this is real money, total value lock, nothing to do with market cap, which I told you guys in the previous video. It's kind of like a made up inflated number. This is why I really care about liquidity. Liquidity is very important. And now if you scroll down, you can see that PulseX has made it in the top 15. Quick fun fact, in the previous mini altcoin season, around November to December, PulseX was actually in the top 5. Would you believe that? Because that's crazy. And I believe at that time we were not in any centralized exchange. I know we were briefly in under Maxi's exchange listing, but yeah, I'm so excited for the next time we hit that top 5. Just imagine how much people will be attracted to this. Imagine the APRs that you can make on this chain with really low impermanent loss. Imagine the fact that we have a stable swap. If you guys didn't know, you can literally put stable coins and make 5. And at that time, it was almost 20% APR from just supplying stable coins. That's literally 0% impermanent loss. Yes, only here in PulseChain. That's what we make possible, guys. Passive income, especially during bear markets, guys. Okay, I'm going to take you here to the next website, which is Getco Terminal. That again puts all the chain rankings by DEX TVL. And you can see right now PulseChain is also in the top 15, which is really great to see. You can see the total TVL is around 267. And I think when we topped in November, December time in terms of TVL, it was almost, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think it was around 600 million, and that did put us in the top 5 if I remember. So yeah, just imagine, by the way, this is the TVL for Ethereum. It's 6.2 billion. If we just acquire 10% of that into PulseChain, that will put us almost at 1 billion TVL, guys. I'm telling you, PulseChain will become the black hole of liquidity. We're going to attract those whales, guys, and we will become the safe haven during bear markets. You will be shocked. I don't think I'm even ready to see what Richard has planned. Okay? He's the man with a plan. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, we're going to take you to this website. If you guys didn't as well, strategicethreserve.xyz shows you kind of all the, again, strategic reserves from companies or, you know, different types of entities, and which one of them is a PulseChain sacrifice wallet. Right here holds 166,000 Ethereum, worth around $600 million, guys. Which again, there's another website that I believe this is Hexagita who created this. Big shout out to him. Yeah, you can see here, worth 596, which is right now minus 5% from the DCA price. Can you believe it? This at some point used to be minus 50% down. And a lot of people were just making fun of Richard Hart, saying, "Oh, how are you feeling now?" And guys, let me tell you, It's unrealized losses. Does it matter the short-term price change for Ethereum? When you know the long-term value proposition, when you know that, okay, whatever price I buy now isn't the value of the future. Price is not equal to value. You know what? I guess not everyone knows that. Even though they probably scroll every day through Twitter and they see all these quotes, they see all these mindset models that they should adopt, they will just never change, guys. Herd behavior. People literally just want to follow the crowd with least amount of research as possible. They just want to follow the green candles, literally. Guys, follow the information. Follow the smart money, okay? Don't be the late majority. Okay, don't be the guy who's, oh, I'm going to wait till it's on a centralized exchange so I can buy it. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, don't be the guy who said, oh, I'm going to wait till they beat the SEC, or SEC has mercy on them and drops the case. No, we beat the SEC. Only 5% of cases do that. Matter of fact, I think Richard Hart is going to sue the SEC back. Nobody believed it when Gary Gensler, was said to be basically fired. Donald Trump, thankfully, won the election, guys. He literally survived an assassination attempt, guys. Now, if you don't believe in that's meant to be, then I don't know what will. What's a better example? And I don't believe in coincidences, guys. The fact that you stumbled upon this video, maybe you're new to crypto, maybe you're new to PulseChain, it's literally meant to be. So thank whatever God that you believe in, because you're in on a ride, ladies and gentlemen. We are still early, believe it or not. We're still early. Bitcoin dominance is still high. Altcoin season is coming, but it's not here yet. And when I say it's not here yet, we're talking, guys, we could be like 2-3 months away from Bitcoin hitting like 160,000, maybe even 200. We might hit 200K Bitcoin in 2025. We might hit 8,000 price Ethereum. Do you know how much the sacrifice fund will be worth? And by the way, this is not in leverage position like MicroStrategy, which by the way, big shout out to him. We are holding the PulseChain sacrifice funds. This one. This is in spot position. Time is not a factor. We own every single penny of this. PulseChain sacrifice funds, guys. We know what Richard Hart did in the previous bull run with the adoption amplifier, the Ethereum from there. We know about the OA strategy. It never sells. I would rather that than Ethereum Foundation, than venture capitalists that get token unlocks and then they sell, they send it to a centralized exchange. Look what's happening with Solana. Look what's happening to XRP. And here we have Richard Hart's latest tweet giving us a nice lesson about counterparty risk. And what's interesting is that he hasn't mentioned PulseChain or Hex or PulseX or any of the other cores, not a single time in this tweet, truly showing how he cares about people. Okay, where he's giving without any expectation of return. One of my favorite tweets from Richard Hart is, be the change that you want to see. This man truly has entered crypto, and he's spreading the word of crypto because he believes in economic freedom, a borderless world. Welcome to PulseChain, guys. We love you. So let's see what the tweet has to say here. He says, the myth of Richard Hart approved. Nearly nothing is. I explained to you the risks and how you can do things better. Hopefully you can take the advice and it works out for you. So I'm once again going to tell you how to do things better and hope it helps you. Reduce your counterparty risk by spreading your transactions out. All off-chain exchanges and all bridges have counterparty risk. You greatly reduce the risk to you if you just spread whatever you're doing over smaller transactions. Other tips that work on the same idea: use different types of hard drive to do backups, so they're less likely to all fail at the same time. If you use a version wallet to transact and you get hacked on it, you don't instantly get hacked on everything upstream, and it's nearly free to do. So Virgin wallets before connecting things is quite affordable insurance. For instance, if a bridge is really fast and affordable because it doesn't have a bunch of validators that have to approve a bunch of multi-sig confirmations, it's faster and cheaper, but in theory has more counterparty risk because it doesn't require collusion of validators to make problems. So if you're using a faster, cheaper bridge, know that it's more risky, but you can reduce the risk by splitting up your bridging over time. So if something goes wrong, it goes wrong for far less. Works for all kinds of transactions. Never ever let someone tell you Richard Hart approved and you dare use their statement to replace your own due diligence. You must reward that which is good by knowing better from worse using your own mind. I'm in cryptocurrency to remove counterparty risk and increase efficiency. We're lucky such awesome computer science breakthroughs and open source software exists. Let's spread the word. I hope you enjoy the free tips. P.S. Random, if you want to have two kids divide a cake evenly amongst themselves, have the first one cut and the next kid choose. Now taking you guys to the next tweet from Dirty Crypto, we have a quote tweet from him saying, PulseChain, Liberty Swap just gave you the secret formula on how PDAI is going to be over-collateralized. And here they said, I prefer stablecoins that are backed by strong native crypto assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Pulse, or Hex. Now, this is a reference to the OA, because if you guys didn't know, if you go here to GoPulse and we go right here, you will see that there's a button here that says include OA. Now, what does this mean? And all of a sudden you can see the market cap has significantly changed. So if we exclude the OA, all of a sudden Pulse is a 735 million market cap with a supply of 17 trillion. But if we include the OA, all of a sudden it has 137 trillion with 6 billion market cap. So as I mentioned earlier in this video, OA is an already proven concept with EHEX in the previous bull run that helped it reach 10 or do that 10,000x all the way up to 50 cents, half a dollar. Okay, so what is the OA? It stands for origin address, and effectively we don't know who owns it. It could be Richard Hart, it could be a team, it could be a dev team, it could be AI, it could be a multi-sig. We don't know. Okay, but what we do know is that this acts at the best interest of the chain. They never dump. Okay, this is the type of good centralized kind of position in a way how Bitcoin actually, when the best time you bought Bitcoin was when its inflation was at its highest, and of course when it had the most centralized supply holdings, i.e. the dev himself was holding Bitcoin the most at that time. And of course, as time went on, it started becoming more diluted. So what am I talking about here? All I'm trying to say is that for them to use the OA holdings, which is, by the way, effectively 90% of all these tokens, except INC. INC doesn't have that much of a OA, so that's why we take it out of the equation. So you can see here, you can click this button and play around with it. So for example, you can see here, PulseX has 20 trillion that's not held by the OA. And if we minus that from the total supply, the OA holds around 120 or 118 PulseX. You can obviously do the same thing with PHEX. So what are we going to use with the OA, or what is the theorized plan? Because this doesn't require any selling, by the way. So for you to use this and over collateralize, for example, PDAI, which by the way, it will require, let's say the total supply of PDAI is around 44 billion. So if we quickly bring 44 and we use the same formula from MakerDAO, if we either assume that the MakerDAO system will be somehow revived, or we're going to make a MakerDAO replacement, either way, it requires a 150% collateralization level. So if PDAI, we're looking at the supply now, is around 40 billion. If we do 40 times 1.5, we will need $60 billion worth of backing. And I know this sounds extremely crazy, but all of a sudden, I just showed you guys how much, if you include the OA over here, you can see here 6 billion, right? If we minus that, so that's going to be around let's say 5.3, and then the same thing here, you can see that's going to be around another 3 point something billion, and then here again you can see 1.1, so that's around 6. So we add that all up, it's going to be around, I don't know, 12 billion, let's say. All we need is for the core to rise by a 5 to a 6x for us to be able to collateralize PDAI. And I remember at some point in November, December, we were literally around a 20% away from reaching that point. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that if we reached the collateralization level, it will immediately happen. It really just depends. Everything has its own turn. So guys, please relax. Now, I've seen people here on Twitter who are, they get worried. Okay, now this immediately I understand that these people are overexposed to PDAI. Okay, now what are you saying? You say, Khaled, you don't believe in PDAI. Whoa, what's wrong with you? No, 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 no. Okay, diversify. Because that's why I say to people, oh, what's the first thing I should get into if I'm new to PulseChain? I'm not going to say, oh, just go into PDAI and don't look at anything else. No, I'm going to tell you, in order for operation, you need to know the main narratives. What are the blue chips of PulseChain? That covers the least volatile tokens to the most volatile tokens. And again, this is why I like to summarize it as the Core 7 ecosystem. Now, yes, you now enter into the Core 7 ecosystem. You understand it, you believe it. And then now you look at, based on your own risk capital, how you need to allocate it. You can bring a pie chart and then have different sized pieces of the pie allocated to X amount of tokens. Okay, and then after that, you can now look into protecting yourself against ecosystem level risks. So now instead of just looking at the Core 7 ecosystem, you can look at meme coins. You can look at, for example, the BTGC with the alien tech, extremely bullish. In 2024, it did thousands of X's. And it's still at thousands of times higher against the Pulse, not against the USD, against just Pulse itself, right? Which is a really great leverage of Pulse, again, because of the tokenomics, and I really like it. And now also the same can be said with Atropa, even though, yes, it does overlap with PDAI ecosystem, Atropa still has technically its own ecosystem. And then, by the way, we used to be in way back, it used to be way more uncertain than what it is right now. It's still uncertain, don't get me wrong, but it used to be way more uncertain. When the dev was totally anonymous, when the dev didn't give his speech in Netherlands back in, I don't know, I think June of last year in the PulseChain conference, right, where we didn't know his full name. We didn't know if it's a real, person, or if he had the best interest for PulseChain, right? We didn't know before he burnt the LP around, like, I don't know, 2 billion PDAI with Atropa LP and burnt it. And of course, when people asked him, hey, actually, can you renounce Atropa? Can you renounce Teddy Bear? Can you renounce T-Bill? Can you start burning stuff? And he started doing that. So I'm telling you right now, we're in less, still high uncertainty, but we're less than what it used to be in like late 2023 or early 2023 effectively. So it's very exciting. So what I'm trying to say, guys, here real quick, don't overexpose yourself. As much as I believe in PDAI, I'm not just going to go all into PDAI. Okay, I don't need to do the whole ratio trading and keep track of variables. Oh my God, this ratio is different than that. Let me move here. I'm not a trader, guys. I'm an investor. Okay, what I like is to do nothing for long periods of time. What I like is LP positions that give me passive income. That's all I care about. Okay, very simple. If you keep watching my videos, you'll kind of start to understand what kind of projects I believe in, and I can really do a round trip and explain to you, as from a beginner's perspective, what different ecosystems I believe in. Big shout out to Hog, one of the greatest like meme coins that you should know about. Okay, I'm not here giving financial advice, but I'm giving friendly advice. Stuff that have never been done before. An anime and manga series of your favorite PulseChain influencers, guys, wrapped around in this meme coin, which, by the way, is the main narrative of this bull. And believe it or not, it's not to do with utility. It's not to do with yield. Oh my God, I'm going to make yield. No. Okay, at least it's not yet, by the way. I do believe there's going to be a DeFi season. Okay, I do believe there's going to be DeFi 3.0. I'm telling you, people love communities that they relate to, that they like. Cool. Just think about it. When the weebs, I don't know if that's an offensive term, I literally don't know. When the weebs find out about PulseChain, and then now they find out about Hog, what's going to happen next? Guys, Metcalfe's law, the N+1. They start telling one person, that person starts telling two other people, each person did exponential growth. If you look at Metcalfe's law, you'll understand that value comes from the common denominator of value is users, the number of users. It's a exponential proportion to value. As the user count grows, you can expect the value of that network to increase in squared. So for example, if PulseChain right now, we're at 10,000 roughly active wallets. If we go to 100,000, which, by the way, Ethereum has around 500 active wallets per day. PulseChain has 10,000, roughly 11,000 active wallets per day. If you go from 10,000 to 100,000, you can expect the chain, whatever you define it as, let's say Pulse, to do a 10 squared in price. in price performance, which is what? 100x, guys. You might say, oh my God, 100x is a lot. It sounds too good to be true. Guys, 100x is just a 10x followed by a 10x. Right? We can 10x in a month, and then the next month we do another 10x. There you go. That's 100x. Right? 10 times 10. So I'm just saying, here, this guy here says, we urgently need something to help us. We're back at around 0.00, half a cent after recent efforts, which is depressing. How is that depressing, my friend? How is that depressing? Like, look at this. We're up 5 point something x. When you compare it in the past 3 months or even 4 months now, roughly, we're literally up like 30x plus, bro. I remember waking up one day and seeing the price of PDAI was around like, I don't know, $200 per 1 million tokens. Right now, it costs $5,100. And by the way, when I saw it at 200 something, that was only for a few hours. And that was peak uncertainty. That was when like KT, minted like 100 billion. She did the cast to, again, she got bounty. Who was the bounty from? It could be from Atropa dev, whatever. It's a long story, really. Very long story. I'm going to write an article on that. I'm planning. But yeah, but at those times, who was buying PDAI? Everyone was selling it. Smart people did so. And I did so, guys, silently. And I was speaking about it in the videos. I said, I still believe in PDAI. What's up? What are you going to do? After all, we're in PulseChain, right? The land of freedom of speech. That's what we sacrificed for, literally. PulseChain sacrifice was for freedom of speech. PulseX sacrifice was for freedom of movement, freedom of assembly. I want to move my funds in PDAI. What's up? I want to talk about PDAI in these videos. You can't stop me. Guys, if I started asking people, what do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to not talk about? All of a sudden, I can't make a video because I can't please everyone, guys. So I'm being true to myself. Which I think in turn is the best interest for both of us here, really. Guys, I don't feel like I want to talk about projects that I don't care about. I don't want to be disingenuous. And I want to be consistent. For the people who started watching my channel since 2023, remember the days, the 4 horsemen, PDAI, PWBTC, right? Teddy Bear, Atropa. I still hold those. I still believe in them like more than anything else. With the core ecosystem, how I became a hexagon. Do you understand when I became a hexagon, by the way? Like mid last year, when I really started getting into hex. And okay, I started watching live streams from Hart. Mid last year, guys. And I've been learning so much ever since. Everything makes sense. And I've learned so much about how Solana works, how Ethereum works, why Ethereum is, what kind of pain points is it solving? Besides the fact that it's twice as quick as Bitcoin's block time speeds. Right? Way past beyond that. What's the story behind it? Story behind Hex. Why did Richard Hart decide to make PulseChain? At some point, he wasn't thinking about that, guys. At some point, Hex was the scope. But I feel like it became a need to make his own layer 1 fork solution, guys. Because of the fact, with the S-loads, with the recent, updates to Ethereum, what happened, they made the S-loads basically function calls. I believe that's what it is called. The S-load become more expensive. Now it's becoming unfeasible for people to stake and unstake. Like unstaking became expensive. And now Richard all of a sudden is like, whoa, this is not great. Let me just make my own chain. And let me fork everything. And let me make PulseChain the black hole liquidity for Ethereum. And at the same time, he says, I actually care about Ethereum. I'm also creating PulseChain. One of its main motives is to offload Ethereum to lower its gas fees. And he gave an example about how McDonald's, for example, if one branch is running at full capacity, it's going to actually start to throttle in some, metaphorically start to throttle. So what do? You just open up another McDonald's. Like Richard Hart, guys, he's a good guy. He actually is a good guy. He cares about people. He cares about Vitalik. He cares about CZ. He was sending him letters when he was in prison for 4 months. Guys, Elon Musk and Richard Hart share the same lawyers. You don't think they had a few conversations? You don't think they're talking about stuff in the background? Donald Trump Jr., at some point, he was following Richard Hart, and he probably like had to unfollow him because of the whole SEC stuff. At some point, he was following him. He didn't tweet about Richard Hart either. You know what I mean? That's how you show. That's what shows that he was a true believer. You don't think that Donald Trump Jr. mentioned anything to Donald Trump, to Baron Trump? You know what I mean? That guy's a degen. You know, all of a sudden he comes here and goes, "Oh, let me launch my own meme." You just never know, right? It sounds incredible until it happens. That's the crazy thing. Like, oh, I've never heard of as a stablecoin that started with the supply but not with the backing, on its way to $1. That never happened before. Yeah, until it will. That's the risk that I'm taking. Okay, because I'm telling you, if you're not part of a cult in crypto, you're not gonna make it. You're gonna make average returns, which, by the way, the average person in crypto barely cuts even. Or matter of fact, maybe the average person is on a negative. Guys, really exciting stuff. So please, to this person who's concerned, oh, you know, why we're back at these prices, zoom out. That's all I'm gonna say to you. Zoom out. In more extremely bullish news, almost at the end of this video. Let me double check how long the video is going. 44 minutes. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. And by the way, just a quick reminder, I literally love you guys. I might not know what's your name, might not know how you look like, you know what I mean? I don't really actually care, but you just watching, it actually means a lot. Okay, because I also wanted to say, and I've mentioned this in the Telegram group chat, which, by the way, join, link in the description, click the link in the description. If you're new to Telegram, please watch my crypto security guide, because I gave a quick tutorial about how to secure your Telegram. You can get this course for free, by the way. Yes, it has a price tag, but honestly, I don't need to make money with this now. I can make money with this later. Use code PDAI, PDAI, to get this course for free. Okay, educate yourself. Same thing with this. If you're new to crypto, get the theoretical knowledge that you need to have. Okay, why is liquidity important? What is volume, etc., etc.? You know, difference between Bitcoin. What is a difference between an inscription, an NFT, a token? What is an ERC? What's a token? What's a coin, etc.? Right? These are both 1.5 hours worth of video content, guys. Watch them. It will tell you everything you need to know for this bull run, so you can stay safe. All I'm trying to say, join the Telegram description. I'm literally going to make it private. I'm just trying to find time. Life has been very busy. I need to improve with time management. Don't get me wrong. Accountability check. But yeah, anyways, going back to it, I mentioned, I was going to say, you know, that it feels like my purpose to be making videos about PulseChain, to educate you guys, you know, introduce you and onboard you to crypto as this instrument where you can work smart rather than working hard. You know, one of the quotes that I like to say is, knowledge shared is knowledge squared. So it's a win-win for both of us. Right? And also one of the other quotes that I like to say is, think like a whale until you become a whale. Guys, you know, with the DCA strategy, or the ladder strategy, as Ivan on Tech likes to call it. Ladder in, ladder out. You know, keep the scope for this bull run. But yes, I'm going to have bags that I'm going to hold, that I have, you know, I don't know, I'm not going to tell you, but, you know, for example, in cold wallets that I'm forgetting that I'm holding. So even if I, you know, take profits for whatever tokens I'm having, you know, near the top of this, you know, as best of a guess as I can with my top signal, with whatever system I have, with different weightings, etc., I'm always going to have a bag that I'll forget about, just in case things go parabolic during the bear market. You know what I mean? Because PulseChain is the first of its own kind. We might literally do stuff that it never has been done before. There was a website, and I'm going to show you guys in the next video, which shows a simulation of how much the price levels would increase for PulseChain if this, the 166,000 Ethereum, rotated all into PulseChain. And guys, we're talking about like $5+ P hex. We're talking like thousands of dollars worth of single INC per INC. One INC that costs right now $1.9. Tons of great things coming to PulseChain. And again, you know, this is not financial. There's no guarantees for any profits to be made here. I can't give you that. You know, we're in crypto. We can't speak in certainty. So you have to always have a probabilistic mindset. Never invest anything more than your risk capital. Nothing more. Whatever you're investing, you're willing to part way with that money and lose it. You might lose it. And it's effectively because you're having an investor mindset, which is what I recommend you to have in a non-financial advice way. Don't think about selling anytime soon, unless you think it's the top, the euphoric zone of this crypto, of this bull run scope at least. Anyways, speaking about this, now we're going to end this video, by the way, roughly here, which is really interesting. Liberty Swap. Here it says, we are a team of 15, because this man, big shout out to him. Daredevil says, I really appreciate all the work you guys are doing. I'm just curious, for curiosity's sake, how many people do you guys have on staff? You guys appear to be working very hard. And this guy says, we are a team of 15, including one media intern, which by the way, some people said it's Somi, quite funny, who works 18 hours a day. Now here's a clip from Richard Hart. Guys, are you ready for this? Look what he says.
I got 14 devs now. Sub devs. I can't reasonably add more. It's not possible.
I have 14 devs. This is, by the way, a very old clip from Richard Hart. Like, you know what I mean? Like, very old clip, guys. We're talking, I think, maybe 2023, 2022. Maybe just up. Is this part of the Richard Hart team? We're about to see. We're about to see. Very interesting stuff. Now, there's another clip here. It kind of goes back to this theory that Richard Hart, he's obviously a billionaire, right? This tweet here where he says, oh, I'm going to end this video here, by the way. Here he says, I wonder if people will use Thorchain to go from Bitcoin or Solana to Ethereum to bridge over to, PulseChain. Are you saying, oh, I wonder? Oh, foreshadowing, right? And this is the clip. Look what he says here. Because people, by the way, rumor that, and we kind of know this. Guys, Richard Hart was one of the first people in Bitcoin, started mining it. When the early price of Bitcoin, when there was around like 30 or even 60 people in like a Reddit group chat, Reddit community page, whatever you call it. Guys, he was one of the first 60 people. Like, he's a billionaire. Okay, is he still holding that Bitcoin? Did he rotate that into Ethereum? We don't know. But here's a clip.
Yeah, I've had Bitcoin for longer than you. I don't believe you bought at $1 bullshit.
Do you have any Bitcoin? Yeah.
Sadly, I do have some Bitcoin, and I don't want it. I hate it. So,
No, I'll take your Bitcoin.
So, where did this clip come from? Well, that is a clip, I'm trying to say. But what's the theory? Here it says, this guy is just a random guy, by the way. Which, by the way, I trust people like this more than guys with like hundreds of thousands of followers. Okay, because as I said, the higher the number someone has, the more likely they have an ulterior motive. Okay, so this person, Tom here, big shout out to him, says, my guess, Richard Hart is the Bitcoin whale that just sold the billion worth of Bitcoin. Those funds will be used to pump Ethereum. The sacrificed fund wallet will then be used to pump PulseChain. Very, very interesting. Okay, and then he says, then once PulseChain is above sacrifice price, and PDAI and PwC are much closer to parity with some sweet green candles, the marketing campaign, which by the way, if you guys didn't know, just keep watching my videos. I talk about this. The free electronic gifts that probably already mapped to addresses, people who either never been on crypto or never heard of PulseChain by the least. Now all of a sudden they have this electronic gift that has free coins within it. And don't worry, yes, like, okay, if they sell it, it's not going to be a major sell pressure, right? More than likely, if they took their time to get their wallet set up, so they can input the seed phrase, whatever, blah, 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 more than likely they're going to be like, you know what, let me actually take some time and learn more about this. What is this PulseX where I can put this X amount of money that I have in this free wallet to actually turn it into passive income? Oh, let me learn more. Actually, I want to DCA more into this, just in case it does another 10x from here. Like, guys, you need to understand that way. This makes sense. This is called adoption. Marketing campaign launches with Liberty Swap Finance being a key component of it. Then, even more Richard Hart's Bitcoin is rotated into PulseChain, causing unbelievable price appreciation, and the crypto world crowns Richard Hart as king. You guys do another tweet here about Richard Hart. It says, follow the money. Bitcoin made miners rich. Richard Hart mined when Bitcoin was pennies, created Hex, then launched PulseChain. At fork, 154,000 WBTC were copied to PulseChain as PWBTC, fixed supply. Someone with 30,000 WBTC still holds their PWBTC. Who's this secret Bitcoin billionaire? And he attaches a clip that we're about to watch. Big shout out to Kiz here, Kiz Hoop. This is the clip.
Oh, let's talk about some other stuff. People like to spread rumors. Like, I've got 1 million Ethereum. That's a rumor I've heard. Well, let's say that was true. If I had 1 million Ethereum.
Hold on, he didn't deny it.
Would I need to sell anything other than Ethereum ever? Seems like a lot of Ethereum. What is Ethereum? $2,000 now? Well, 2,000 times 1 million is, 2 billion. Let me check the math on that. I mean, I know it is, but...
Here's 2 billion.
Yep, 2 billion. Richard, when are you going to pull the rug? Bro, go look at the liquidity. Go see who's providing it. It's a bunch of people that have a bunch of weird coins I don't like. The guy, this God whale that's buying it up, he got his Ethereum back when I was saying Ethereum sucked. Like, you know, and he's bought some coins that, I don't know. I don't know why he would buy this. Like, ugh.
Interesting stuff. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, by the way, PWBTC on PulseChain, this token right here, if we quickly go to it, right here, PWBTC is very bullish. And you can even see if you go to the holdings, which I'll make a separate video on that, you can see that 21% of the total supply is held by a wallet that ends in 2822. That, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the earliest wallets that provided liquidity in PulseChain. Clearly, this is one of Richard Hart's AMM. They call it an AMM wallet. If you guys didn't know, if you go to the farm and if you go to the finished, so the farms are no longer active, you'll realize that there used to be a PWBTC, EWBTC farm. And I believe Richard Hart strategically turned this off for now, as that's not the main narrative. He will enable this at the right time, because as I said, guys, we're at that phase where liquidity, we want to keep PulseChain's liquidity low as possible, because liquidity is a weight factor. We're at that growth phase where if we reduce liquidity, we can fly higher with less amount of capital. And at those higher prices, right, when we reach, I don't know, a couple dollar PHEX, for example, as an example, that's when you now want to incentivize people to start providing liquidity so we can sustain that price level, have the cushion effect that a thick liquidity would come with. Okay, and of course, one of the ways to incentivize people is from PulseX, or sorry, from farms, yield farms right here, which the beautiful thing about these are unlocked 0% fees for going in or out of it. What I mean by that is effectively some farms where if you go into something, it takes 1% to enter that pool and then 1% to leave that pool. So before you leave, you have to account the 2% that you've lost, right, as a minimum. But the beautiful thing about this is it unlocks. So if you decide to be on it for a week and leave, you can absolutely do that. That's the sickest thing about this. And as I mentioned, we even have stablecoin liquidity and a bunch of other things. There's V1, V2, right? V2 gives you INC as rewards. V1 gives you INC as rewards, and V2 gives you basically the LP tokens, or makes your LP tokens heavier, just to keep it very simple. And that's auto compounding. And you guys already know compound interest is the 7th wonder of the world. So guys, listen, I'm going to actually end the video there. I feel like there's a lot of information that I've added there. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, comment down below and share with your crypto bros, you know, the N+1 Metcalfe's law. You can also contribute to that, because every like, every comment that you do, YouTube pushes this video further in the YouTube ranking and the algorithms, hopefully to people who are in crypto or who are new to crypto that have never heard about PulseChain. Okay, I'm doing my part in making these videos. I hope you guys really enjoy this. And I've seen people who are new to PulseChain join the Telegram group chat, which is amazing to see. If you have any questions, go join that Telegram group chat before it goes private, because that is it, guys. I am happy with the amount of people there. And yeah, guys, so before we end this video, I just want to say a big shout out to the man above. Trust in the process, trust in God, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.